Hello and welcome to the Lorehounds. I'm Elysia, and welcome to this special bonus episode with a special conversation I got to have with practical VFX artist Lee Romaire, head of Romaire Studios in LA, about his work on various films, such as Frankenstein, which of course makes it perfect for this Oscar season, but also everything, up to and including major animatronics in Disney World. So we talk about all that. We talk about why he's known as the dead animal guy. We talk about the course of his 25-year career in VFX, how he got into it, how he kept going, all the different directions that he's gone from special effects, makeup to electronics, including tips for those who are looking to get into or find out more about these fields themselves. All right, without any further ado, let's jump into my conversation with Lee Romaire. And I am excited to be here today with Lee Romaire of Romaire Studios in LA. Lee, thank you for joining me, and thank you for being so patient while we sorted out some technical difficulties.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. No problem.
So you are a veteran of the special effects industry. You have been doing this work for 25 years now. Did I see that? I saw you were celebrating an
Yes,
anniversary.
yes. 25 years, moved to Los Angeles to begin this journey.
Wow. And so we'll jump back to the beginning in a moment, but you now run your own studio in LA called Romaire Studios. Do you
Yes,
want to quickly preview for listeners the range of projects you do? I know there's practical effects, puppetry, animatronics.
sure. We do all of the above, creature design, fabrication. We primarily work now on live entertainment, which is, theme park work. Designing, doing a lot of research and development for like many of the newest things that you see being advertised by the big theme park companies. We have had a hand in developing, and also we do production work, which means we create the whole figure that is in the park. A new park just opened in Orlando, and we created and fabricated and installed about 22 different characters and effects, and um, some of the most sophisticated ones in the park, actually. So we also do we do movie work, we do TV work, but it's a bit more sporadic now than it was before when we first started.
And we are going to talk a little bit later about Frankenstein as one of the movies that you worked on recently. But if we jump back to the beginning,
hmm
what got you into this work? Were you playing with toys as a kid, thinking about this, or was it
Yeah.
happenstance?
So I'm from a small town in southern Louisiana, and when I was a kid, my parents did take me to Walt Disney World as a kid, and I was always fascinated with things that looked real, but weren't real. And it could be a creature like from the movies, King Kong, things like that, Godzilla, or it could be a theme of something in a theme park like Pirates of the Caribbean. Like it could be a tree or a rock as long as it was artificial. And in that small town, the things that I were surrounded with was taxidermy. You would go to someone's house and there was a deer head on the wall or a duck. So I would
Mm-hmm.
always focus on that and just stare at it. And
Mm-hmm.
someone who worked for my dad had did taxidermy as a hobby, and he showed me, and I think I was probably 8 years old. He showed me how to mount a little crawfish, and he had these mail order back then. You got things you looked in the back of a magazine and got a mail order course or whatever. So he had these little books that he bought, a taxidermy course, and he gave me those. And at 8 years old, I could read, so I really basically taught myself how to do that. Um,
Cool.
and then I, started doing that, and I had a little shop and a little room to do the work in, and people would bring me stuff, and I did that up until the end of high school. Other people were, playing football. I was in my shop, creating these things. So I was like
Mm-hmm.
a young little Norman Bates at that point. And I graduated from LSU and excuse me, I went to college. My parents, do you want the whole, you want all the way up to coming here to Hollywood? I can give it to you really
Yeah.
quick. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So,
Yeah. Fill in the gaps.
yeah, so my parents wanted me to go in business, but I was, had that artistic sort of side. So we kind of, we made a compromise, and I found advertising in as a study course in college, and so I graduated in that. Worked on in that for about 10 years, but I was just kind of unfulfilled. It just, I was kind of searching for what I wanted to do, and one day I just made the decision. I don't know where it came from, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a special effects artist, a makeup artist in Hollywood. That's what I want to do. And after that, everything just started falling into place. Like a month later, I was in a bookstore and I found, and I was living in New Orleans at the time, called Makeup Artist Magazine, and they were having a
Okay.
trade show. And so it was a month later, so I booked a hotel, I booked a ticket, and I went to Los Angeles, and I went to this trade show. And I met a lot of people some of which who I still am friends with. And but I particularly met a gentleman named Dick Smith, who, if you don't know who that is, he's a famous makeup artist, Oscar-winning makeup artist. He's
Right.
called the Godfather of makeup. He did Marlon Brando's makeup on The Godfather. He did Linda Blair's Exorcist,
Okay.
makeup in The Exorcist, and all kind of things like that. Many many famous makeups, and he was one of the best is the best makeup artist that has ever lived. But anyway, he was retired, and
And you just ran into him.
yes, yes, and he was retired at the time, and but he was teaching people, how to do makeup and how to um, he was mentoring people as well. So, I showed him this little portfolio that I had put together, and he was like, "Well, he's very, he's a very blunt guy, or he was." And um, he's like, "Well, you're no Rick Baker, but you have potential. So,
Okay.
go ahead and write to me, and we'll talk." And so I did, and I sent him some more pictures, and then he accepted me into his, I guess, training course. And over the next 18 months, I worked very closely with him, very hard, to develop my skill as a sculptor. I started actually sculpting for a job. I started sculpting Mardi Gras props for the big Mardi Gras companies. And at night, I would do, work on prosthetic makeups in my spare bedroom. And
And what year was that you landed in
uh,
LA?
that was 1998. Um,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, after about 18 months, I was like, I think I'm ready to go to Hollywood. And he's like, he's just trying to discourage me at that point. He's like, there's a lot more people than there are jobs, and,
Hmm.
da da da. But I'm like, I'm gonna go anyway. I take that as a challenge. So I,
Right.
I did. I moved there, and within a month, I was working at a place called Steve Johnson's XFX. Steve Johnson, another famous makeup artist, who he did Ghostbusters and Fright Night and a lot of the classic
Yeah.
1980s makeup effects. So I've worked with, him and a bunch of other people, other studios, for about 3 years, and then I started my own.
And it was fairly early in your career when you were working on 6 Feet Under, and you were
Yeah,
part of the team that won the prosthetics makeup
yeah,
Emmy.
yeah. So that, yeah, I went to work at a place called Masters Effects, and it was, it was a stroke of luck, honestly. A lot of times your success is, 50% of it is hard work, but 50% is luck.
Hmm.
And so I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. There was a place called Masters Effects, and they did 6 Feet Under, and they had several other TV shows that they were doing. And the lead guy, the Todd Masters, and his other top guy were in, I forgot what show it was that they were working on, with Stargate. So they were off doing that. So I was hired in, and I got to do the lead, prosthetics and body and stuff like that for this one episode, 6 Feet Under, on 6 Feet Under, that actually got a nomination and won. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that was also the first or second year where they actually acknowledged the sculptors of the prosthetics. Like before, it was just the makeup artists, and then they switched it to the people who actually create the prosthetics as well. So
Right.
yes,
Because
so
they
yeah,
they divide it up for the Emmys now. Yeah.
right. So I got that, and that to get that award was great. It's more, um, I would say it interests people who don't live in Hollywood a lot more than it
Right.
does people who live here. That counts for more. So it's like, oh yeah, for mom and dad, it's great, but for here, it doesn't really get you your next job. I would say it's because what gets you your next job is here is that you're reliable, and you're easy
Right.
to
Is your
work
last
with.
job. Yeah.
You're easy to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, yes, that's I was on that, and it was pretty great, pretty neat.
What would you say is your proudest achievement for you?
Proudest achievement. Wow. I mean, I don't know.
Like, is there a project?
Um, well, I think the thing that really kind of, I mean, to me, like surviving, everything that's happened over the last 5 years is one
Sure.
of my proudest achievement. But,
No,
um,
that's an important one.
yeah. So, I mean, projects that I really liked. Okay. I, um, So early when I started my shop, I started a little shop downtown and in downtown LA. Before it gentrified, it was a little scary, the area. But I was doing anything I could get my hands on, TV shows, commercials, short films, anything. And a friend of mine worked at Disney Imagineering, and they were working on the first sort of iterations of electric actuation for animatronic figures in the parks. So they were working on heads and hands, heads particularly, and they called me in to Lee, we want to do this character. We want you to sculpt the head, and we want you to finish it and all this stuff. So in a realistic way. So I was helping them with that through the company, and then that became a project. They wanted to redo the show that is in Disneyland for Abraham Lincoln. He has his
Okay.
own show, and that's Abraham Lincoln is the first audio animatronic human that Walt Disney ever
Right.
attempted, and Walt Disney was personally involved in it. It was one of his favorite things. So I had actually the opportunity to resculpt this head or resculpt this figure for Disney, and I'm actually the first person outside of the Disney company who ever got that opportunity. So it was very exciting. It was very scary to do because I had to honor the work previously done by Blaine Gibson. He's the amazing sculptor. All the characters you see in Disneyland and Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, most of the presidents he did. I had to honor that and be very mindful of what he was trying to achieve.
Right.
So, I really copied his theatricality of that. Added, the modern kind of finish that we use in Hollywood now. So I saw an opportunity there that, the theme parks, all started from studios, movie studios, but they kind of gotten away from that um, feel and for the animatronic figures and characters. So I, said, okay, there's a lot of things that we can bring to this work from the the movie business, the realism, the cinematic quality. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I've kind of focused on that work, and they started hiring me to do all kind of things, and I've done we've done pirates and we've done presidents and we've done aliens and we've done tiki birds and country bears and all those things. And then, from there, I was like, well, I've got all these great people that I work with who do animatronic work and mechanical work and puppeteering. And so I really pushed for give me a whole figure to do. the whole thing. I want to do it. So they
Right.
did give me, they finally acquiesced and gave me a whole figure to do. And it was one of the most complex things that, they'd ever done. It was a little tiny handheld character. And it took us about 3 years to work it out and develop it, but we did. And from there, it just kind of, everything kind of snowballed and to different companies and different things. So, like I said, that's mostly our focus right now, um, live work. I kind of wanted to veer into that because I knew the movie business, is there's already a lot of people who are good at it that are in it, and with digital, um, it's um, I'm not saying it's going away. It actually probably improved the practical effects business, but
Right.
it becomes spotty. You know what I mean? Whereas this, to me, the theme park work it's something that nobody wanted to do, but I did. Um, so I kind of moved into more of that.
I mean, I also saw that you did in 2021. Frank Ocean went to the Met Gala with this animatronic green baby. That was
Right.
also you, right?
Yeah. So we have like really cool projects like that come out of the blue. Somebody introduced me to Frank, and he had this baby. He was opening a jewelry store, and he wanted to have this baby in the window to, it was, he has like his jewelry line has like some butterflies in it, so the baby is supposed to be grabbing for butterflies that were digital on a screen. And he also has like a scarf line in it within that it's a luxury brand, so the baby's onesie was made out of the scarf material. So it was a standing animatronic little green baby with braces. It was,
Yeah.
totally his vision that we created. And he called one day, and they said, he wants to walk down the red carpet with this baby. And all the guts, the motors and the controllers were underneath the stage
Right.
of the window. So we had to, and within 3 weeks, we had to take all of that and get it into the baby and
Ugh.
figure out how we get him to turn it on and off and all that stuff. And so anyway, we figured it out and we got it to him. And basically, he would press a little button on the foot, and it would, the baby would come alive. And then he would press another button, and it would wave, and it would, look around. What was really great though is he would interact with the looped program.
Mhm.
So, it made it look like the baby was actually reacting to him, and
Right.
reacting to the crowd. So it was really cool. I'm really proud of that one too. That was a really neat project. So we've done things with the baby and other things for him as well.
Right. There's a YouTube video, I'll say, I'll link that in the show notes for anyone who wants to see the baby in action in an interview. How heavy was the baby with all of the electronic guts inside?
Oh, not very heavy.
Okay.
Less than 10
Like a
pounds.
normal baby weight?
Probably, I would say, yeah.
Okay. But as we've referenced so far, you do also work on the movie side. Most recently, you did some work on Frankenstein. You were working with sculptor Mike Hill, and I know you did a lot of the animal effects regarding. I mean, spoiler for especially this part of Frankenstein, but there's a point where wolves attack first sheep and then humans, and then are beaten back by the creature. Um, can you tell us a bit more about what exactly you did in that project?
Yeah, so Mike's a friend, and Mike is like one of the most brilliant sculptors in Hollywood and creature designers. He was really kind of born to do this project. He's a friend and colleague of Guillermo, and he worked with Guillermo on The Shape of Water on the creature, that creature.
Mhm.
So, Guillermo asked him to do this work, and it was a lot of work. Lots of dead body parts, lots of dead bodies, lots of animal stuff, and so Mike reached out to a range of people, me being one of them, I guess, I'm the dead animal guy of Hollywood, so that's why because of the
All
taxidermy,
that taxidermy.
you get pigeonholed a little bit. So, he's like, yeah, I can do these animals, and it was some sheep and some sled dogs, and um,
Oh, right, the huskies from the Arctic
yeah,
side. Hmm.
yeah. So, we had to basically create these animals that were, they aren't current day animals. They're in the 1800s. So the production did a lot of research, and they had found animals similar. And then we basically worked with them and copied those animals. And then it became like time, like, okay, some of these animals really need to be kind of mauled a little bit. What do you want? So we were suggesting different things. You could bash in the heads, and on one of
Hmm.
the dogs, the head is completely turned around to kind of a homage to The Exorcist, but
Mm.
that kind of thing. But it's like, well, what do you know, what does Guillermo want in this? So I got this little sketch. Mike sent a little sketch from Guillermo with a Bastion dog head. And I'm like, okay, so we just copied that. It's like, I'm not really known for kind of gross or gory kind of things. We do more cute things or um, but we did it and it was
Right,
fun.
like the secret life of pets, cats. Yeah.
Yeah, it's visceral, and it's those things get a reaction when you show them to people. But so it was fun to do, and it was an honor to be able to work on something with Mike for sure, and definitely an honor to work on a Guillermo project for sure. So.
Right. And how does, because I mean, I know that Guillermo del Toro has a particular interest in practical effects, which is obviously why he's coming to people like you.
Mhm.
Um, but I know that a lot of the animals were also finished with VFX. Do you have a sense of how those were worked together? Was there any VFX applied to your work as well?
I you know um,
I
I
mean,
think.
and I mean CGI, of course, by that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't involved.
Hmm.
I pretty much, like, what I did, we just handed off.
Right.
I was super busy working on Epic Universe at that time, so I did offer to come to set, but we just basically sent everything. So I'm not sure like how they interacted with digital. Um, but I knew everything was in good hands, sending it to Mike because Mike, was going to make everything look great and make us look good. I mean, today when you work with visual effects people, it's much more a collaboration than what it was before.
Hmm.
It was kind of when visual effects first started, it was very kind of competitive with practical effects. And, visual effects supervisors would come in and say, that doesn't look good. We need to replace that. Today, like visual effects companies, because of competition and because of, the budgets, they are much more open to, they understand that they need practical effects to help them get done what they need to. So,
Mm.
whenever it involves like something that is very close to a human or a touch or this or that, it's a lot of practical effects. A lot of time they're practical. The effects are practical, and you don't even know. It's pretty seamless. Um, and I think also digital. It's a tool. They're both tools, and smart directors know that you don't throw away tools. You use everything you can in your toolbox. So digital effects work great for some shots, and practical effects work great for other shots. And a lot of times it's a combination. And smart directors, smart cinematographers know that and utilize it to its best effect.
What do you think are the biggest changes you've seen over the past 25 years you've been working in this industry in Hollywood?
Um, just the quality of well, when I started in the makeup effects business, I mean, silicone had already been silicone had already uh, been used in movies, and
Mhm.
it was they were going in that direction, but it hadn't been perfected yet, and it's been perfected now, and now makeups are, just the level of quality of makeups are amazing in suits, as opposed to back in, when I started, it was just kind of being I mean, there was high quality, but it wasn't, not with the silicone. It wasn't there yet. So I have friends that I met them when they were kids, 12 and 13, doing this stuff now, are Emmy award winning makeup artists and Oscar winning artists, that, utilize the stuff, and it's pretty perfect. I mean, to me, like one of the best makeups right now out there is the penguin makeup on Colin
Oh God,
Farrell for
yeah.
the penguin.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. Mike did an amazing job on that makeup, and it's flawless. It looks good in every single light. It looks good in every situation. And Colin Farrell is half, of course, of that, if not more, in bringing that character to life. But the makeup supports his character. But there's nothing that points to being fake at all to me. So
No.
it's amazing.
You know where I learned most about silicon, what little I know about it is that show that used to be on Face Off, the competition
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
I loved that show. It's for anyone who doesn't know, it's a reality competition show for special effects makeup artists, basically.
yes, yeah. That was a fun show.
Yeah, I mean, because I am a film fan, but especially when it comes to that side of things, I know nothing about the technical side of it. So it's so cool to see people at work and yeah, just learn about the pros and cons of the different materials that you might use and
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah. I never really got, I was kind of more out. Well, so when I first moved to Hollywood, I wanted to be a special effects makeup artist, and so started doing that. I was a sculptor for most people, and then when I went on my own, then I started, being able to apply stuff, and I learned quickly that I did not enjoy the process on set of application. I enjoyed it like
Right.
at home and do it, but I didn't. So, I worked for Jim Henson Creature Shop as well, and I was much more attuned to that kind of thing, the puppets, the animatronics,
Mm-hmm.
the stuff that like suits. I didn't mind like, setting people up in a suit, things like that. But as far as like the application for a daily basis,
It's
it
intense.
was not within my personality to do that, because because you're the first one on set, and then it's already an early situation, but you're the first one there. You're watching it the whole day. You're taking it off. Then you're going back to check and make sure that everything is ready for the next day, and plus you're stuck there. And I'm not somebody who likes to be stuck in a situation. I like to be able to come and go as I want. So
Right.
and later on when I was doing makeups, I just hire somebody else to do the stuff on set. But I was much more tuned to puppeteering, or excuse me, the puppets, the animatronics, the suits kind of thing. So, that's a big lesson. You have to like kind of shift into what you're best at and what your interests, where your interests lie, because you're gonna sustain the passion to work in a
Right.
difficult industry.
Two other movies that caught my eye that you worked on was one was the Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. So we're,
Mm.
we're talking not the
More,
new
more,
one, but the good one.
more dead animals, more dead animals. So
More dead animals, more dead
yeah.
animals. Okay. And then more recently, Five Nights at Freddy's. Did you work on the animatronics there?
So that was not. I did not work on the movie. I worked
Oh,
on
okay.
a YouTuber. This is kind of crazy. A YouTuber
Okay.
contacted me. His name is Socks, and he's famous. If you're into gaming, he's a famous YouTuber who does gaming. He wanted to recreate the entire restaurant of Five Nights at Freddy's for his YouTube channel. So he did, and he wanted to debut it like as soon as the movie came out. So we had about 8 weeks to create all the characters for him, full suits, full animatronic heads, the
Wow.
whole thing, and we did it. We got it. It looked pretty great. And that YouTube video has gotten about, I guess 46, 47 million views since then. And, I joke with my friends who actually worked on the movie because, they were working on it at the same time I was working on this. And I was like, I think more people have seen our animatronic figure, our figures than your figures. So, I mean, believe me, I really do think more people have seen that than the actual movie. So, yeah, so that was
I'm gonna
cool.
link it in the show notes also for anyone who's curious.
Okay.
What would you say is something that you think people misunderstand about your work?
Um, well, I always get like, wow, it must be so much fun to do that, and it's like, yes, we enjoy doing the work, but it is it's work, it's hard work, it's dirty work, and I think there's I guess there's an idea of glamour, and I guess it's associated with entertainment or Hollywood. There's
Mhm.
nothing really that glamorous about it. It's just like any other work. But some people are doctors and they have passion about that work, and we have passion about our work. Um, but it's definitely not. I don't consider it any kind of glamorous occupation or fun hobby type occupation. It's hard work.
Right. I mean, would you recommend it to someone who is as passionate as you were growing up?
I think that you have to, yes, if you have the desire and the passion for this kind of work, definitely go into it. I always tell people you have to be a self-starter. You really, if you want to sit down and have somebody teach you how, I mean, I guess it's your method of learning. Some people need to be taught. The classroom situation is better. Other people are more self-taught. They teach
Mhm.
themselves, and this kind of leans themselves towards more self-taught people, like people who will tinker and figure things out. Um, now my studio now is comprised like 50%. I shouldn't say 50%. It's a little more. It's still like creative people, like artists, designers, fabricators, but we also have a full engineering department because
Right.
our the mechanisms and the robots
Mhm.
we create have to run for 16 hours a day, and they have to be for 20 years they have to run. So we're building things that are as practical and resilient as cars. So that required me to have a whole engineering team, and that kind of is what separates Romaire Studios from the other companies. Is that in movie business you can create a thing that looks and moves really well, but it doesn't have to last beyond the production, a month or days or whatever. And you have people that are fixing it constantly on set. Our stuff has to be engineered, so it's a higher expense and much more detailed design. Like some of the things we do, it take 2 years to build. So
Right.
as opposed to 2 months.
And if you look back on your career, what's a project of yours that you hope people will still be talking about another 25 years from now? And what's one that you wish had gotten more attention?
um, I don't. I'm. I don't need to have leave a legacy. I don't.
Well, I mean, the work itself, it doesn't have to be your name, but they're still like, that is such a cool piece of work.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that the things that I mean, everything that we've done. I'm glad that it's still out there, and there's not one in any particular. Oh, there is a particular
Mhm.
thing that I'd like to see continue. And it's a personal project. My hometown, like a small town in Louisiana, it's known for. Um, it was like the capital of the shrimping industry back in the day because it's right on the Gulf of Mexico. So there's actually a shrimp boat that's in the middle of the main street, like up on the neutral ground, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a famous thing. And every year they decorate it for Christmas. So it's got
Mm-hmm.
Santa, and it had reindeer, and people would go and watch the lights go on. And it's been a tradition since I guess the early 1950s. So I decided, and it got really, it started getting pretty decrepit. The Santa Claus was made by somebody in the hometown, and it was not that great. And they had the reindeer, not that it was two reindeer. So I'm like, I'm going to donate a new Christmas display to the city. My friend was the mayor, and so we talked about it, and he was all for it. And I said, and then we started talking about it, like let's make it a Cajun Christmas display. So instead of
Oh, I know. I saw
yes,
pictures of this. Okay, so
yeah.
yes.
So instead of reindeer, we created white alligators, because those white alligators that you see, that leucistic alligators, those were discovered very close to my hometown as well. So we created those, and we put crabs on top of their alligators' heads for antlers. And that's called a rain gator. That's a creation. So it this thing got attention. Once it went up, this thing got attention from all over the world. And it's like there's memes now created around this white alligator, this rain gator. So I'm really, really proud of that. And kids love it. People love it. And people come from all over the place to go see it. So I really hope that continues. So I would say that's one of the things I'm most proud of.
Yeah, it looks really cool in the photos. I'll make sure to share that in the show notes as well.
Okay.
Um, do you have any favorites of any projects that you look at that your colleagues have done and you think that's really cool? They've really added something to the industry.
I mean, my favorite will always be the T-Rex. Well, Jaws, of course, the shark.
Right.
But as a kid, that blew me away. But the T-Rex scene in Jurassic Park, or
Yeah.
all of that is still one of my favorite. I think it's right when digital effects were coming. They were doing realistic things in digital effects, and practical. The mechanical dinosaurs were the height of uh, animatronics at the time, and I think the way that Spielberg blended those two together, it's actually, the show is actually much more animatronic based than the digital.
Okay.
Most people don't know that, but
That's why it's aged so well.
well, I think I don't know why it's aged so well. I don't know, because um, the digital effects were so good. The way they, Phil Tippett, he had all this background in stop motion, and he knew the weight of how things should move, and all of that, and it just, everything moved well, and it was all blended well. It was just a home. It was like like everybody has like one or two home runs, usually one in their lifetime, and I think that was like their home run, and they just killed it on all of it. Every single thing was great. So um, that's the thing
Yeah.
that always still blows me away when I watch it today.
What would be your dream project at this point in your career?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, to me, I'm excited every time we get something interesting. We actually
Hmm.
received something yesterday that we're gonna redo a classic attraction, and I obviously can't
Oh,
talk about it, but um,
no.
yeah. So there's a lot of really fun things, and I really hope we do that. A lot of fun things in it. That in a couple years I'll be able to talk about it, but right now I can't. But it's something based on a movie from when I was a kid, and that I really loved, and,
Okay.
and it's a full redo, and I'm looking forward to like diving into that.
Oh, exciting, exciting. Is there anything that you want to share, get off your chest about your career, about this type of work in general?
Um, no, just, I would say that I'm just at this point very grateful that I have been able to work with such great people. Not only learning from some of the best people, but also, being able to, as a boss now, and as sort of I guess I'm sort of the creative director and leader of this team. Like, I have just an amazing team right now, of artists and mechanical designers and engineers, and it's so much fun to be able to work with them and collaborate and create the things we do. So uh, I'm just grateful for that, and I want to continue it for quite a while.
Yeah, good. Be watching what you do next. I'm going to link your website in the show notes, also for anyone who would like to learn more about your work. But do you have any tips for people who would like to learn more about VFX in general?
Well, yeah. So again, it's about a self-starter. So
Mm-hmm.
there's tons of information now online, um, that you can look at. Some of which is good, some of which is bad. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have I would say, like, if you want to do something like this, find the person that you want to be like, and then try to connect with them, and that's probably many people. Try to
Mm-hmm.
connect with them and learn from the best.
Right.
Some people are willing to share their time and energy with you. Don't I had a choice back. I remember back in the day, there was like, okay, I could learn from Dick Smith, but there's also this course. It was some makeup school, and I looked at the ads, and it was like all the makeups in this school, they looked terrible. That they were, or I could learn from the best. I could learn from the best makeup artist in the world. The choice was obviously there to learn from
Mm-hmm.
the best, right? So that's what I would say. Like, be very discerning on whose advice you take and um, who you learn from, because you can learn a lot of the wrong things. And I would say also, just don't give up. Just keep trying. You have to. When you do something, I always tell people, the first things you do are going to be terrible, and you have to do about 10 shitty things before you can even get to one that's halfway decent. So you have to work your way through all of that to get to something that's it's pretty good. Does
Right.
that make sense? So,
Yeah. Was it the
don't be
10,000 hours
discouraged.
or, yep.
Yes, don't be discouraged. Just keep working at it.
Right. And if you want to learn makeup tips without without committing to the career, watch something like Face Off.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or, there's like the Stan Winston school. They have video courses you can sit there and watch. They have so many different, like, top people teaching on these videos, and you can just get that and watch them, and it's really neat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really I'm so glad also that we live in an age where we're getting more attention paid to the craftsmanship that goes on behind camera or behind the scenes at an amusement park.
Yeah,
Yeah, just that there is the appreciation, and having the appreciation for these skills also allows people to learn them and pass them on and then iterate new versions.
right, right, exactly. There's always some kid out there that just blows you away how good they are. Yeah, and
Yeah.
this comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's great to see also in general that it does seem, I know that there is still a lot of emphasis on CGI, but you hear a lot of top directors like Guillermo del Toro or Robert Eggers or the like, who are emphasizing the practical effects. And I know it's a constant discussion on the Lorehounds network that people notice the difference.
Well, there's something about practical. There's something about, like a performance. That sometimes the mistakes are the best part of a performance.
Right.
Like I did a short film, 12 or 15 years ago, and you know, the things that come out of that, like improvisation, at the moment, like, wow, that is something that I didn't think of that happened that makes that whole scene better. And that's what you get from live practical effects. Like there's a move or this or that, or that just make it. And when you're dealing with digital, it's everything is um, is refined with a fine tooth comb, and it's all like it's all very planned and deliberate, and it's really hard to get that improvisational feel.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this is my opinion.
It's too perfect often. Yeah.
It's too perfect. It's too there's no way to have that happy accident. You know what I mean?
Right.
So digital people may disagree with me, but that's just my feeling. Now, when they do mocap, I guess with performances, they can get some of that.
Well, I think it's I have also someone who has spoken on this network before, Hjalti Hjalmarsson. He's a director of animation at the Blender Institute, and
Uh,
he'll always talk about that the mocap suits, they they give you good information, good reference information, but it really takes the human touch to go in. He talks about how he often has to distort the visual or the digital image so that it's not so that it's slightly unnatural, because making it slightly unnatural makes it look more natural.
right,
And also just adding that like snappiness to the movements and things like that, where it can be very floaty with mocap.
right, and we kind of deal with that too in animatronic figures. There's one company that really does like very floaty, kind of it's very smooth, and everybody thinks
Hmm.
that's really cool. But try to you have to try to put some of that jerkiness back into it, because we
Right.
snap around a lot. So I don't encourage that kind of animation if we actually are doing the animation.
Right. Yeah, I think that people often strive for perfection, and you made a really good point that what makes a performance industry interesting is the imperfections,
Right.
the humanity
Exactly.
that leaks
Yeah.
through.
Yeah. Exactly. Because it reveals a little truth.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for this excellent, interesting discussion, and for walking us through your career and your industry and giving us all that insight.
Oh, well, great. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you again to Lee Romaire for all your many insights from a very varied career in practical effects. I hope that you listeners enjoy that conversation as much as I did. Um, I'll keep this outro short, but next up in the Oscar series, Brandon from Short Stick blog and podcast will be joining me for a dive into the 3 short film categories, followed shortly thereafter by an episode with our own Elysia, aka Red Zippy, who is bringing her theatrical background to play to talk to me about the production design, costume, and hair and makeup categories, which are actually, I think, are some of the most exciting categories this year. Pour one out, though, for Wicked for Good. We'll definitely bring that up as well, and a few other misses. If you haven't yet, check out the Oscar nomination reactions episode that David and I did recently. In addition to giving you the whole lay of the land for the nominees this season, at the end of that, I also laid out the rest of that series. And of course, we have going on right now weekly dips of toes into the pit. We've got a cross feed bonanza going on for Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which you can find episodes for on both the Lorehounds feed and the Properly Howard feed. And Radioactive Ramblings are covering Fallout. Never Mind the Music is always like clockwork, keeping their Psychology Meets Music episodes coming out. You can find all of those through the link tree in the show note and explore the other podcasts on the network, including my own Wool Shift, Dust, and the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast. Lorehounds feed Supercast and Patreon subscribers. You just got an episode for the January Cold Comfort Cinema Month about Fargo. And coming up shortly after this, you'll get another episode with David, Brian, and Lisa doing a deep dive into Diane Keaton's filmography, ending and are selecting the movies that are up for vote for next month's 11Zs for Diane Keaton Month. If you are interested in finding out more about these bonus episodes, plus how you can get ad-free access to all of our episodes, then you can find the Supercast and Patreon links also in the link tree. And also you can find links to the Discord, where we would love for you to join us in conversations on all of these topics and more. Or please send any thoughts or feedback you have to lorehounds@thelorehounds.com. You'll find that linked in the show notes. Just thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please do share it with anyone else whom you think might enjoy these insights as well. If you'd like to leave a nice rating and review wherever you're listening, that would be a huge help as well. But just thank you in general for listening. We are happy to have you with us. As always, of course, we have to close out with our special thank yous. Thank you to our Discord server boosters, Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Doof71, Athena Ajalea, Listu, Nancy M, Ghost of Partition, Radioactive Richard, and Adrian. Thank you to all of our listeners, but especially to our subscribers who keep this show going. Most of all to our highest tier, the Lore Masters, Samarsh and Michael G, Michelle E, SC, Peter OH, Nancy M, Doof71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Garrett C, Andra B, Kwong Yu, Nathan T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dali V, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Listu, Jeffrey B, Elysia U, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Carly S, Ilmariel, Paul K, Rocky Zim, Jessica A, Red Zippy, the TCS, Dopamini, Catch It, Eleanor, Mrs. Tennant, AC Wilson, Eli W, Cassie K, Chumbaruni, Catilla, Josh Liu, Paint and PDX, Corey G, and always last, Adrian. Thank you all. Talk to you again soon.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Thanks for listening.